So welcome everybody to this session today. There are a few more who are booked on, so as they drop in, I'm sure that'll be okay. We are also recording the session, so if you can keep yourselves on mute, that'll be fantastic, just to avoid any sensitive or personal data being shared, and also so we can all hear exactly what's going on. If you do have any comments or any questions, put them in the chat. I can see that at all times, so I will stop to address your question. And to our audience who are watching this at a later date, maybe through one of our streams such as YouTube, one of our channels, if you've got any questions, anything you need direct support with, drop me an email. I'll leave that at the end of the session today. So this session I put together because it covers off two topics that are often very well, they're areas which I get questioned on probably the most. And often when I'm doing when I'm looking through policy documents, compliance pieces around data protection with organizations, I often find that these documents often haven't been completed or haven't been done correctly. And they are very important because they are legal pieces. We do need these documents in place. GDPR expects that we have these to ensure that we are able to demonstrate that we are protecting data. So I'm going to take a deep dive into both these documents and show you exactly what they are, how to structure them, and where you can also get templates to put these together. Just to let you know, I have done this session previously with the Digital Care Hub. So also there is a recording over on their website as well as will be on ours. Now, I will be going off the DSPT here. If you're in this session today and you haven't completed the DSPT, don't worry. Again, this still applies to everybody having these documents in place. Just the DSPT is a free tool that ensures that you have everything when it comes to data protection. You're able to demonstrate everything. So instead of you going around sourcing lots of different bits of information from lots of different places, and you may miss some pieces which could be important or legal, you have them all in one place. And when you've completed the DSPT, you get a certificate. And with that, you are able to gain access to certain systems, NHS patient systems or NHS mail, secure mail systems. So very good thing to have. If you do need help with that, reach out to us. Now in the DSPT, there is a question that asks, does your organization have an up-to-date list of ways in which it holds and shares different types of personal sensitive data? Now in relation to this question, this is referring to the Information Asset Register and the record of processing activities. Now, what I will say is if you do have the DSPT, all the resources are in there. So if you have signed up, and again, if you haven't, don't worry, this is still relevant, but you just need to go into the question under policies and procedures. And in here, there is a link which will take you across to the Digital Care Hub's website where they have templates for the Information Asset Register. You just need to scroll down a bit. You've got a template here. And then if you scroll down a bit more, there's a template for record processing activities. And they help you put those together effectively. So why is this so important? Well, as I said, there is law in place. So we have obviously GDPR, Data Protection Act 2018. And these laws state that all personal data has a legal basis for being shared. And if we're doing that, it needs to be documented under the principle of accountability and made available to the ICO. So there is law in place. And then the ICO, who you'll all be registered to, enforce this law. And if we're not complying with this, there can be repercussions. Now, again, we can have data breaches. We can have someone else report us to the ICO or report a data breach or a mishandling of information. And again, there can be consequences because of this. So we need to ensure that we have these things in place. Now, the ICO has said they will enforce this, they'll ensure it's being done correctly. And one way to do this is through having these two policy documents, these compliance pieces in place. What is personal data? There's a definition here. So UK GDPR, it defines it as a means, basically it's any information that relates to an identified or identifiable natural person. So basically, information that can identify somebody. And that information can be direct or indirect. So we're not just saying, okay, their name, date of birth, and let's say NHS number. 3 things that can identify somebody. We're not going that explicit. Yes, that's personal data, but it can also be indirect as well. So we need to consider that. Even if you're having a conversation with somebody and someone is overhearing that conversation, and you might not be being direct about somebody, but if that person overhearing can identify a person based off of that conversation, that's personal data. And the same goes for emails, whatever we're sending it, letters, pieces of paper left around the office, anything saved on our computer, anything that can be used to identify somebody. Now, this doesn't go for a deceased individual. This is only for living individuals. And as I say, we need to protect that. The legislation is in place to protect people's personal data and privacy and regulate how organizations process people's data. Now, you yourselves probably have personal data stored with lots of organizations. And whenever you sign up to an app, a new product, a new service, you probably tick a box or sign terms and conditions, which in there will be a statement around how they use your personal data and you're allowing them to use it. And now you probably wouldn't want them to leak that personal data, causing repercussions for yourself or even identity theft. And that's why we put our trust in these organizations. And the same goes for us. If we're an organization, we contain our staff data, residents, patients, clients, whoever it might be. If we contain their data, we need to keep them safe. They have entrusted us with that data. Now, alongside personal data, there is also sensitive data, and this is a special category. Special category data has extra legislation applied to it, and so there need to be extra considerations around these. And these refer to racial or ethnic origin, political opinions, religious or philosophical beliefs, trade union membership, genetic or biometric data if they're being used to identify somebody, someone's health, data concerning a person's sex life, sexual orientation, and then there are additional laws in place around criminal offence data. So we need to pay extra consideration to sensitive data. And this is where these documents, Information Asset Register and the record process activities can really help us with this because they can categorize this for us. We have considered it already. And if we do have an inspection, we're able to showcase what we are doing to keep that data safe. Now, as I said, there are non-compliance consequences. So obviously the Data Protection Act or UK GDPR, if there is a data breach, a data leak, if we haven't put the right steps in place, we can get up to a 4% annual turnover fine. And also, as I said, the ICO regulate this. You should all be registered to the ICO already. If you haven't, there can be a £4,000, up to £4,000 fine for not registering. So let's look at these documents. As I say, one way in which we can demonstrate how all personal data is being kept safe and that we are complying with the law is to have an information asset register and to have a record of processing activities. And as I said, we need to have these documents in place. They are something which they will be sought after. And as I said, as an organization, you need to have these in place. They are compliance pieces. So let's start with the Information Asset Register. What is that? So really simply put, and I'll break this down, it's basically a list of all the places where information is stored. And it's whether that information is special category, as we mentioned before, and how that information is being kept safe. So basically, what information is held, where is it stored, and how are you keeping it safe? That's as simply as I can put it. I'll give you an example of an information asset. Now, an asset is the thing containing the information. So you might have a filing cabinet in an office, which holds personal data. So the information asset is the filing cabinet because it's holding the information. So that's your information asset. What information is held in that asset? And how are you keeping it safe? So it's got locks on it, swipe card, PIN pad, could be any method. But you're identifying that there's personal data there, and you're saying what it's in, and you're saying how it's kept safe. And that's basically it. And you do that around the whole organization. You identify where all personal data is stored. Another example is I had an organization with a piece of paper on the wall in an office, and there was personal data on that. Now, the information asset was the office room. The personal data was on the wall. It contained that personal data. And how were they keeping it safe? They had locks on the doors. Now, the ICO does list out ways in which you can put together an information asset register. They list their expectations here. So they say that your organization has an information asset register which holds details of all information assets, and that's software and hardware, including asset owners, asset location, how long you're holding it for, and what you're doing to keep it safe. So as I've just mentioned there. And you review that register periodically, and you'll make sure that it's up to date and accurate. And again, as part of UK GDPR, the expectation is that any personal data that we hold needs to be kept up to date and it must be accurate. So that is our responsibility to ensure that we are regularly doing this. Don't just do an information asset register, file it away and forget about it. It needs to be kept up to date. And then you'll periodically risk assess the assets within the register. So you'll just make sure that everything on there is accurate and you're still able to keep those security controls in place. Now, what personal data do you have and where is it stored? As I said, that is what we're looking at here. Is it special category data? And again, the information asset register will mark this. And then risk assess each information asset. So how we're keeping it safe. And I'll keep saying that over and over because these are the 3 points we're trying to look at here. And then if we do identify risk, we need to state how we are preventing that risk. And don't worry, I'll show you a template in a minute where it has all of this and you can just manually fill it in. So let's look at creating that information asset register. And I say I do have a template, and there is a template through the Digital Care Hub website that you can access. And you can just do a Google search, IAR, Digital Care Hub template, and you'll be able to go straight to that page and find this. So decide on a template. So either you can download one or you can create your own, maybe in Word or Excel. Gather key information, cross-check it, insert key information into your template, and then complete all other. We'll go through exactly what I mean by this. So first thing you need to do in gathering key information is you need to go around your organization and you need to list each information asset. So the easiest way to do this is identify all personal data, any data that can identify an individual, yourself, staff, or any stakeholders related to the organization. So as I said, it could be a filing cabinet, could be a mobile phone holding data, could be a system on your computer storing records. What are the assets? What is holding that data? Is it your computer? Is it your phone? Is it a cloud system? Is it a system supplied by a third party? Is it a filing cabinet? Is it an office? Describe what information is kept in those assets, one by one. Describe where it is and describe how you're keeping it safe. And this is how you can list this out on the screen. So I've got an example here. So column 1, information asset name. Got a few examples here. As you can see, records, filing systems. Again, you're stating what it is. What information is kept in there. Again, describe that type of information. Where is the information asset? So you've got the information here. And then what security measures have been put in place. What you can do after that is you can cross-check information. So I've put a list of examples of what information assets could be. So as I say, the asset is the thing holding the information. So a cupboard, filing cabinet, device, poster on a wall, CCTV footage, digital systems, other examples there, offices, shelves, anything that could have personal data. And it's what that information is on or in. And then you can review this. As I say, I've got an example of all the different areas in which could contain information assets. We'll get this slide sent out if you need this at the end, but also we do have a recording on this too. So once you've identified all the information, you'll then insert it into the table, fill out the rest of the template. So I'll show you exactly what an information asset register looks like. Now, as I say, I do have a template link. I will put this in the chat as well so everybody can have access to this. So you can just click on this and you can manually fill it in. I've popped the link into the chat. You just go to this little icon here click on that. It'll download an Excel file for you. I'm just going to open that Excel file. It might look quite condensed on my screen, so I will zoom out in a second just so we can see it a bit better. As you can see, yeah, it's condensed everything. So this is the information asset register. We can fill these boxes ourselves, and it will guide us through. So first box is information asset name. As you can see, they've given some examples here: care planning software, care record filing system, CCTV records, mobile phone. You go around, you identify that asset. Now, if it's a digital system, you will fill out the next 3 boxes. If it's not a digital system, just put NA in these, as you can see. Not applicable, not applicable, not applicable. If it is, just fill in these details here. For example, a filing system, it's not a digital system. In this case, they have a filing cabinet in an office, so we wouldn't fill out these boxes. What information is kept here and why? So let's go down to the filing cabinet. Service user health and care information is stored in order to be able to provide care. So again, you'd identify what information is in there, you write it down in here, and then it would say, where is the information asset? So filing cabinet in registered manager's office. Does it contain special category data? Yes. Who is the information asset owner? So who is responsible for that data? Registered manager. We'll go along a bit. Is the information shared externally? Do you receive it from someone outside your organization? In this case, they do. Again, if yes to this, if not, you just ignore this one, but we'll just put yes. What risks are there if there is a breach? This is you identifying the risk. So what would happen if someone gained access to that information? What is the risk? In this one, they've said there's highly personal records. They would be seen and it could cause upset to service users, reputational damage to the company, and breach data protection legislation. The company could be fined or other penalties could be imposed. So you've identified the risk there. And what are you doing to keep that safe? What security measures have you put in place? The filing cabinet is kept locked and can only be accessed by authorized individuals. All information handling and record keeping procedures are followed and audits are completed. Again, the next 2 only apply to mobile devices. This is a filing cabinet, so we'll put not applicable, not applicable. Date of last audit, just put the last time you checked that information, last did an audit. Has there been a breach since the last audit? Yes or no? And then if there was a breach, you just need to fill out a few pieces of information here. There was no breach, so we'll just put NA, and that's it. Template is great because, as I say, it guides you through. You just fill out the information as is relevant over those 15 criteria, and you do that for every asset in every information asset in your organization, and you'll be clear. Now, this can take a while. Once you go through for the first time and identify exactly what personal data is, where it's kept, it can take a while. I will state that, but it is something you do need to have in place. An information asset register is a legal requirement to demonstrate that you are protecting data. Now, alongside this, there is another document named a record of processing activities. And we also need this one in place. Now, the 2 documents can just be put into one document. You'll find a lot of what is in the information asset register will be carried over onto the record of processing activities, or you can have 2 separate documents. It's absolutely fine. Now, what is a record of processing activities? So it's a list of confidential data, where it's coming from and where it's being sent to, and your legal basis for doing this. Now, again, I'll really simply break this down here. So the definition for processing information is regarding information that comes into your organization or information that goes out of your organization. So let's think of a really simple one here, an email. You might receive an email into your organization with personal data, or you might send an email out of your organization to a third party with personal data. That's information coming in and that's information going out. Now, you're going to list all of the cases in which information might be coming in or out of the organization, where it's coming from, where it's being sent to, and the legal basis. And again, don't worry, there is a template which goes through this in great detail and gives you those examples of legal definitions. So you can literally just tick a box. So As I say, receiving, sharing data is processing. Where's that data coming from? Where's it going to? And as a social care provider, you are a data controller under GDPR. So you are required to document specific information about your processing, just to show the compliance there that you do need to do it. As I say, it is a legal requirement. It is the information you have, where it is, and what are you doing with it. So let's look at the ICO. And again, if you need any help, support, you can go over to the ICO website and just type in record of processing activities, or ROPA, and it will give you all the information on there. You can also call them for guidance. So basically, how do you meet their expectations? As I say, they are the ones implementing this, they're the ones enforcing this. So you need to record processing activities in electronic form, so you can add, remove, and amend information easily. So that's their expectation. Electronic form, a Word document, an Excel document. As long as it's electronic and you can save it and amend it, that is what they're expecting. Your organization needs to regularly review the record against processing activities, policies, and procedures to ensure that it remains accurate and up to date. Again, same as the Information Asset Register, we need to make sure that we are maintaining that information, keep it accurate, keep it up to date. And we will regularly review this. So I've just listed out a few more of their ways to meet their expectations. Won't go into too much detail here because I'll just show you the template, and the template puts all this information in there. So we'll go through that. So what are some examples of data items? So these could refer to staff, residents, patients, or finance. I'll give you some examples of information that comes in or out of an organization. So let's look at staff first. These could be recruitment documents. That's because we're sending them to staff before we hire them. Employee application forms, information that an employee fills out and then sends to us. Recruitment background checks, DBS references, employee training certificates, completed appointment letters, CCTV footage or videos, contracts, disciplinary records, safeguarding referrals, fitness of work documentation, driving licenses. So all of these things may come in or out of the organization. We will be processing this data. Residents or patients, so needs assessments, care plans, financial assessments, DOLs requests, and there's lots of examples on there. Again, some of these will cross over between the different ones. I put all these in there so you can use these as a reference. Should you need them, we can get this sent out to you. Just drop me an email. I'll send you the slide deck. Finance, again, anything related to finance, pay slips, employee data, and so on. So important information in the record of processing activities. So some data items are transferred in and transferred out, as we say, such as prescriptions or mark sheets, and therefore will need to be listed separately. All data which is physically transferred, either electronically or in hard copy, must be added to the ROPA. This could include computers, tablets, smartphones. I'm not going to go through all of them. As I say, I put all this into the slide so you can use it as a guide. Now, you do not have to record information shared through face-to-face discussions. Important to know this. We're not going down onto an absolute granular level here. So you're not going to put everything in there if you're having a discussion with somebody and they've just told you some information, or over the phone they may have told you some information. We're not going down to that level. But if you have made notes on a phone call or have made notes on a discussion, then that needs to be part of it. So you can see where we're going here, a physical record. If you've got notes or information that has been put down on a piece of paper or electronically, that's what we are looking at here, not conversational where there's nothing recorded. Now, I will just note, if you have fewer than 250 employees, which you most probably do, then you do not need to record all of the personal data which you process. Now, a lot of people come to me and they say, do I need to do absolutely everything here? The answer is no for an organization of fewer than 250 employees. But what you do need to record is information that is not occasional. So you don't need to record a one-off exchange. You need to include information that is likely to result in a risk to the rights and freedoms of individuals. And as I said before, that that alludes to personal data. So the reason we're putting a ROPA together is to keep personal data safe. And if we don't keep personal data safe, it could impact a person. For instance, it could cause detriment to them, could cause job loss, could cause there's loads of ways in which it could cause problems there, even identity theft, scams, fraud. So if there's any information which, if it was leaked and someone got hold of and it could impact an individual, we need to put that information into our record of processing activities. And also any information that is special category or criminal convictions. As I said, there is extra legislation there. Now, data must not be about an individual. So again, let's just say that you have you're a care home and you've got lots of residents. We're not doing each individual person and running a record of processing activities for each individual person. It's on a higher level than that. So for instance, initial needs assessments generally, not for each individual. Now, there's a lot of information there, and it's quite overwhelming. You might not have taken any of that in or most of that in, and that's why I say don't worry. There is a template which will ensure that you have kept the criteria for all of this as a care provider, so you don't need to worry if you've missed any of this. So how do we create an information asset, a record of processing activities? So firstly, pick a template, same as we did with the Information Asset Register. Decide on key groups of data, gather key information and cross-check with your Information Asset Register. As I said, there's probably information on that one which you can carry across. Insert key information into the template, complete all other information, and then review it and approve it. So let's go have a look at the template here. So there is a template. Let's just drop this one over to yourselves. I'm going to put a link in the chat right now. As I said, everything I've already gone through today, it's all in this template. So provided you just fill in the boxes, you'll have covered everything off. So you don't need to panic. Just going to download this one using this icon. It will download a Excel document for me. And we'll just go into the record of processing activities, which is here. Now, I'm going to go through this. I will need to zoom out a bit, so you might not be able to see it too well. I'll just go down so we can see the first one, which is here. So the first item which we're looking at is the data item. So what is it that you're processing? They've given some examples here. Need assessment. They've given pay slips, care plans. Again, lots of different examples here. Now, if you're really stuck, if you go down to the bottom of your screen, you've got different sheets which you can click through. And there's one that has data examples. So it'll actually show you what examples of data you might be processing are and what is special category information. So we'll go back to the ROPA. If any of these data examples are relevant to us, we'll literally just copy this, put it into our record of processing activities on that first option, and then we'll state personal data category. What is it? So as I showed you before, I gave you some examples. You've got health and care, you've got financial, and so on there. So again, you'd give your example as to what that type of data is. Once you've done that, it will then say data subject, whose information is this in relation to? So if it's a payslip, employee. What format is it in? Is it a physical copy? Is it paper? Is it digital? Again, is it both? You'd list it in here. Is the information being transferred into your organization or out? Again, if it's a payslip, it'll be going out of the organization to your employee. So we'll put out. Where is the data received from or transferred to? It's going to the employee. Is the data transferred out of the European Economic Area? No, it's going to somebody within our country who is employed by us. If yes, detailed measures taken to protect it. Put NA here. How is data transferred into or out of the organization? So in this case, they're emailing the pay slips out. Description of why the data is being processed. It's a legal requirement to provide employees with a pay slip. What is the lawful basis? Legal obligation. Now, the difficulty here is people will often say, oh, I don't know what the legal basis for this is. A lot of the time it's a legal obligation. So we need to give somebody a payslip. We are legally obligated to do this. There is a sheet in here if you go to lawful basis for processing. It's got all of the information in here. So if it's special category, it gives the lawful basis. If it's not, it's all in here. So one lawful basis is if somebody's given you explicit consent to have that data, it would be consent. If it's a contract as to why you have that data, if it's a legal obligation, you are legally obliged to do it. And you've got vital interest, public task, or legitimate interest. So different information in there that you can apply. In most cases, it's likely to be a legal obligation in that you are processing that data. Is it special category? Yes or no. A payslip in this case is not a go down to the payslip on this one. Yep, we've got employee data here. So here we are. So payslip, and we'll go across. Is it special category data? No. Legal basis, not applicable. And consent form, not applicable. Now we do have an example of special category data if we go down one, and this is in a care plan. So a care plan contains special category information in this case. So we'll put yes. Legal basis for doing this, so provision of health and social care through a health and social care organisation. Again, this is likely what it will be if it's related to a care plan or an individual under our care. And then it will say, do you have a consent form? In this case, you're putting it not applicable. And has what procedures have been put in place to ensure data security. So again, this will refer to everything. And just like we did with our information asset registers, we are showing how we're keeping that data safe. So for instance, the payslip, staff email address is linked to unique pay number, so information cannot be sent to the wrong person. We're then stating how long we're holding that data for. So you will give an example of how long you're holding data before it's being destroyed. Again, just like the information asset register, when did we last review this? And then date of last change to legal basis for processing. Again, all of these were not applicable as the legal basis didn't change. Who is responsible for the data item? Again, you just list who it is. And then has a data protection impact assessment being completed on this? Again, yes or no. And is there an active or inactive process? Again, you just fill this out as necessary. So as I said, slightly longer. There's 20 pointers for this template, but all 20 of those ensure that you have covered every single basis that is required by UK GDPR and obviously the ICO in their expectations. Now, I've put a link to both of these templates in the chat, and we'll just go through a bit more detail here around that record process activities. So as I said, easy way to do this. You can use this slide deck as a guide to find the information as you complete that template. So as I said, decide on groups of data items. So we've given all the examples in that template on that additional sheet. So you could create a checklist of groups of data items, and you can go through and check them off as you identify them in your workplace. Tick all items that are relevant to your organization, and you can review your organization's information asset register as well. So a lot of the information on there probably will come across to your record process activities. And then also take a moment to think about other data that could be processed by your organization. Quite often it can be pretty obscure, and people will often miss out on that information. So I've already showed you the template, so I won't go through too much detail here. It's just highlighting different examples as to how to complete that template that I've just showed you before. And once you've inserted that information, have it reviewed, approved by yourself, management, data protection officer, data protection lead, whoever it might be, so you have it in place. Now, as I said, the lawful basis, I've included these in the slide deck. They are also in that template as I have just showed you. And with special category, there are additional considerations. But as you saw on that template, you've got special category data, and then it also has legal obligation under special category, which you would just fill out through that template. Now, I've also included every resource that I've gone through today, and lots of useful resources. So let's say drop me an email if you would like this slide deck. You can use this as an information pack. I've got the templates on here and the guides from the ICO and the Digital Care Hub. So you've got all the templates and guides here. And also, if you do need that extra support, drop me an email. My email is sam@sussexdigitalteam.co.uk. So I say, drop me an email. I'll be able to send you over this slide deck. And also, if you want me to help you put together an information asset register or review it with you, I'm more than happy to do that, get into a one-to-one with you and have a look at that with you. We also run lots of additional sessions, so do check out our website. We do lots on compliance, lots on technology, so things like AI. We also do cybersecurity as well. And that's on the sussexdigitalteam.co.uk. But that is everything from myself today. So again, it's a lot of information, but all I'll say is you just got to go through that process to begin with identifying information. So identify any personal data, and it can be obscure. There are lots of resources online. You can do a Google search, what is personal data? It'll give you hundreds of examples, and you just go around your organization and find anything relevant. And then where's it stored and how you're keeping it safe. And for that record of process activities, go and identify all the information that could be coming in or out of the organization. It can take many different forms, and it's all included on the template. And provided you've identified that, just fill that template out slowly to ensure that you are demonstrating why your organization effectively has the right to process that personal data and have it come in and out. So I'll open up now for questions. Please use that raise hand feature. We'll stop the recording here. So say anyone who's seen this at a later date